Hi, Michelle. My name is Nick. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Michelle, I am a doctoral student. I'm currently in my practicum. I'm being supervised by Dr. Thomas, who's a licensed clinical psychologist. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And so, just some information really quick to get started. Michelle, can I get your last name?
Jones.
Jones. Okay. And Michelle, what is your date of birth?
Um, January 17th, 1983.
1983. Okay. So that'll make you 40. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, and Michelle, what would you identify your ethnicity as?
Hispanic.
Hispanic? And who were you referred by? Were you referred by primary care physician? Did you come in on your own? What brought you in here today?
Yeah, my primary care physician.
Okay, great. We'll get into that in a little bit. Okay. So before we get any further, I just want to let you know that what we're doing today is called an intake session. It looks a little bit different than a normal therapy session. The primary goal of this session is to gather some information about you, some important things that will lead later on for therapy, just so I know that I can provide you with the best type of support. Okay?
Okay.
And also before we begin our work together, I wanted to clarify the limits of our confidentiality. Our discussions are going to be held in confidence. However, there are certain situations in which I may need to breach confidentiality for your safety and the safety of others. Okay? I had you sign that informed consent when you came in here earlier, and I'm just going to kind of cover what was on that document that you signed.
Okay.
Okay, so the first situation where I would have to break confidentiality if I think there's any threat of harm to yourself or others. So if you express any intention to harm yourself or someone else, I have a legal and ethical obligation to report that to the proper people. Okay?
Okay.
Second one is child or elder abuse. If I have any reason to believe that a child between the age of 0 or 17, or an elderly person age 60 or over, or a vulnerable dependent adult between the age of 18 and 59 are being abused or neglected, I also am mandated to report that as well.
Okay.
Okay. Third one is if I have any court orders, like a valid subpoena, I have to release information that way. And also to my supervisor, Dr. Thomas, that I mentioned earlier, I'm a student. She's supervising all my work, so she's going to be privy to everything that we talk about in here.
Okay.
And the last one is if you're using insurance, insurance does see some of our notes and diagnosis. And if you're on someone else's insurance, they're likely going to have access to that as well.
Well, what are the rules surrounding that?
What do you mean? Which part?
So, what are the rules surrounding what insurance can see and what insurance cannot see?
Well, the insurance sometimes will ask us for the notes. I take notes after each session. And also to bill the insurance, we use certain codes that we send them, and they'll have access to those codes. And those codes kind of are descriptors about what we're talking about.
Okay. Do they have rules about that? Like, do they have rules about what they can do with the notes?
I'm not entirely sure. I can ask my supervisor and I can get back to you.
Okay. I just want to make sure that all of the rules are being followed by the insurance.
Oh, yeah, I totally understand. I can definitely clarify that with my supervisor and I'll let you know.
Okay. And then the fees for insurance, because I'm using insurance.
Okay.
And so I was told that it would only be a $20 copay. And so I want to make sure that that's followed through on. I'm not going to pay more than what they told me. They told me $20.
Yeah, totally understand. If they told you $20, I'm sure that's what it is, but I can also look into that and clarify that with you, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
Okay, so do you understand all the limits of confidentiality and all the exceptions that I explained?
Yeah,
Okay.
I get the rules.
All right, perfect. Okay, so real quick, just a little bit about me. You mentioned that you identified as Hispanic. I identify as a white male. I do have training in cultural diversity, but I'm always open to learning new things. So if something isn't connecting in the way that you think it is, or if I'm not understanding you, feel free to let me know, okay?
Okay.
So, and also a little bit about me. I have been staring at a computer screen all day. I do get an eye twitch. Just want to let you know, if you see that, it's nothing to do with you at all, okay?
Okay.
So my eyes just get dry, so I just didn't want you to think that had anything to do with you. So, okay. So Michelle, what is bringing you in here today?
Well, I've been having a lot of trouble completing my tasks
Okay.
for work. So I can't focus. It takes me a lot longer than should be expected. And so my doctor said I should talk to somebody from mental health about that.
Okay. When did you notice these problems?
Well, I've always had these problems.
Okay.
It's always taken me a long time.
So when you say you've always had these problems, do you mean since childhood?
Yes.
Okay. So would I be accurate if I guessed that you had these problems also in school?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. In all of my schoolwork, it's always taken me a really long time.
Gotcha. So when you say you have trouble completing tasks, so what does that mean? Are you, do you daydream, think about other things? Like, kind of give me a little bit more information about what that means to you.
Well, it's hard for me to get started on tasks, especially if I know it's gonna take me a long time. And then I just take a long time because it's never done the way I want it to be done, so I have to redo it.
So what you're saying, if you know the task is going to take a long time, it's hard just to even get started?
Yes, and
Okay.
it always takes me a long time.
Okay. And maybe you have some like perfectionistic tendencies, like you have to have it done a certain way, or else the task isn't going to feel finished.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain way that it should be done because there's rules about the way my tasks have to be done.
Okay.
And so I just want to make sure that I'm following all of those rules.
So what do you mean? Like what type of rules?
Like in the reports that I give for my work, like I have to make sure that I talk about all these different things, and the work has this list of requirements that have to be touched on, and I have to make sure that it's all touched on and make sure it's touched on accurately.
Okay. So is that a strict requirement they have at your job, is you have to touch on each of these rules every single time?
Well, I mean, it's listed in the rules.
Okay.
So it should be done that way.
Have rules always been important to you?
Well, rules are made for a reason. They should be important to everybody.
Okay. So what would happen to you if these rules weren't followed? Let's say you missed one of the rules in the report, or just daily life. If you accidentally litter or jaywalk.
Well, I don't do those things.
How would you feel if something like that happened?
Well, that would be breaking the rule.
Okay.
So I don't do it.
Okay. So let's go back to your concentration. You said you've had this since childhood?
Yes.
Have the symptoms changed anyway? Have they gotten worse? Have they gotten better? Are they about the same? What would you say?
They're about the same, but now I get in trouble sometimes at work. So when I was younger, I didn't really get in trouble about it, but with work, if I don't, meet the deadline or something, then I get in trouble.
So if you don't meet the deadline, you get in trouble? Has that been a problem recently?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's just now become a problem. It wasn't a problem previously with your work?
Well, the job is more, it's coming down harder on people that don't meet deadlines, but I've never been in trouble yet for it.
Okay. So you haven't actually been in trouble. Is it just you're worried about the possibility of getting in trouble?
Well, they've talked to me about it.
Okay.
But I haven't been written up. But they also said I do really good work.
Okay.
And I follow the rules.
What type of work do you do?
So I'm an auditor, and so I write reports based on audits.
An auditor for what? What types of things do you?
For a tech company.
Okay, gotcha. That sounds interesting. Do you like it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
So, what types of reports are these? Are these long, thorough, detailed reports? Are they just kind of like short? You can do a bunch in a day. Tell me a little bit about these. I want to learn about the reports you do and the rules that you're talking about.
They're long, detailed reports that goes over every detail of what I find in the audit.
Okay. Michelle, have you ever been to a therapist before? Psychologist? Never? Okay.
Nope.
I know you mentioned that your primary care provider referred you over to us.
Yes.
What exactly did they notice that made you refer you to us today?
Well, she thinks I have ADHD.
Okay. Have you ever been tested for ADHD?
No.
Do you remember in school, were you ever on like an accommodation plan? Do you remember if you were ever pulled out of class for certain reasons?
No.
Did you ever have like a tutor?
No, I never had. I never needed help. I always did really good in school.
Okay. You mentioned you did really well in school. Did it come natural, or did you study real hard? Like, where do you think that came from?
It came natural. I was really good at all the assignments I did. I was really detailed in my assignments. They would take me a long time, but
Okay.
I always did really well.
So it would take you a long time. Do you think maybe more than your peers?
Yeah, but I scored better than all my peers.
Okay. Do you have a favorite subject?